let's take the conversation forward now. See, the federal government has launched a renewed hope conditional cash transfer for 15 million vulnerable Nigerian households. Meanwhile, the launch, which coincided with the World Poverty Eradication Day, took place at the Press Gallery, the State House in Abuja. Joining us now for that conversation is Mr. Paul Alaje, senior economist there at SBM Professionals. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so very much for having me.
All right, Mr. Alaje, I believe it was Earl Nightingale that said the human race is fixed not to prevent the strong from winning, but to prevent the weak from losing. So we're seeing these cash transfers right now. It's a good move. And definitely all we're hoping for is that the right people, the real vulnerable people actually get these funds. How are you seeing it?
Well, I think it's a good move to support those that are really poor, those who are finding it difficult to live in the current global economic reality and the impact on Nigeria and the rest of Africa. The good thing about this is unlike what was obtainable before, where corruption held sway by physical hand-to-hand cash transfer, I've seen in Nigeria where we place our currency on table and ask people to come and collect. It becomes a very difficult thing for government and those in authority to verify who got what, when, and what is the method of receipt. From what we are hearing from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, it appears that government have departed from the old ways, and we are seeing that the distribution of those government wants to support is now going to be through transfer, which means in the coming period, in the coming days, in the coming month, it becomes very easy for Nigerians who might be interested to audit and see how such money was disbursed, who got this money. We can also verify what is the living condition of those that had access to this money. The good news again is that even if those persons say they don't have bank accounts, recall that central bank is doing everything possible to expand the number of persons that are banked in Nigeria, and the evidence of which will be measurable in total number of people that have verifiable bank accounts using the BVN. It means for someone to be qualified, the person will have to be registered, and those with BVN in Nigeria will significantly expand. And we can know that even though government is trying to provide support for people, we are also increasing our banking penetration at the same time. And I think this is the way to go.
And definitely we need to protect the vulnerable, but we also have the issue where it seems like the middle class has been wiped out, at this time. What do you think the government can do, about the middle class also?
The most significant class is the middle class. The middle class will serve as bridge between the poor and the rich. In Nigeria today, the middle class seems not to be in existence, and if they do, maybe 10% of the population. And if you follow the number carefully, World Bank reports released 26th of June or maybe 25th of June 2023 revealed that those that are living below the poverty line, not those that are living around poverty, but those that are living below the poverty line, according to the World Bank, were 89 million plus 4 million, and that will give you 93 million people. And the World Bank is projecting that if care is not taken, additional 7.1 million will join by December. We have just a few months to the end of the year, which is December, and I hope that authorities will do the needful. We also have less than 5% of our population that we might say that they are living averagely or prosperously. Then what do we do of over the remaining number of people? Their definition and classification becomes very confusing, because what you call the middle class in Nigeria may not be applicable. In fact, could be a prosperous person. What you call middle class abroad, I beg your pardon, could be tantamount to prosperous person in Nigeria. One, because of quality of money, that is the quality of Naira, because it determines everything. Also, the inflation that have decided to jump the roof. As I speak to you, inflation has decided to grow taller than Cocoa House in Ibadan, as it's now over 26%. That means that even the middle class is getting eroded away. And where do you think they will join? Will they join the rich or they will join the poor? The answer is that rather than growing and joining the rich, more and more people are living being comfortable middle class to becoming poorer and poorer. And the projection, like I said, from one bank is that 7.1 million of such people might be joining the poor by the end of the year.
And I believe, poverty eradication would mean a collective approach, tackling a number of issues and adding conditional cash transfer. What do you think the government, should be looking at adding, even with the cash transfers?
Okay, cash transfer, conditional cash transfer are temporary measures to sustaining people or to making sure that people continue to live. The permanent solution will go beyond conditional cash transfer. It will be to encourage productive sector, one which will be evident in production, manufacturing, promoting plantation on our farms and our arable land. If you consider Nigerian land, the size of the entire country, we have 60% arable land. What is cultivated today on farming is less than 13%. What are we doing with the remainder? It's an answer, it's a question that must be answered to help our people out of penury, out of poverty, out of deprivation. It will go beyond supporting the poor, which I'm not saying we shouldn't do. I'm saying we should do that, but it should have timelines. The real solution will be when people are able to feed for themselves. And I can give you an example. China tried this method by providing conditional cash transfer to people. But China soon realized about 30 years ago that rather than people coming out of poverty, the burden was becoming more and more on government. Government therefore decided to say to lift people out of poverty, it is by creating wealth. It is by supporting viable production sector. You see, it was reported a number of years ago that China lifted over 200 million out of poverty in just 20 years. Average of 10 years, average of 10 million people were lifted a year. President Buhari also had this vision in 2019 when he said, with his administration and anyone that comes after him, we lift 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years. What we have seen, according to World Bank, what we have seen, according to UNDP, what we have seen, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, was that average of 5 million people were getting into poverty year after year when President Buhari was in office.
All right, let's talk about the Naira now. You did mention, strengthening the Naira. And recently, we know the CBN readmitted the 43 items to have access to the official, Forex window. Definitely, there was a lot of clamor for this, and now it's here. But it seems to be, it seems like there's some criticism going on right now about that. Talk to me now about the positives and the negatives about this readmission, and which one outweighs the other.
Okay, so readmission is a decision that Central Bank announced, I think, a week or thereabout ago. And the intention, in fact, the argument has been when you readmit these items back, if we really want to stop people or create order for people to having access to import into Nigeria, what we should have done would have been to put them on immigration list. And the argument again was that these 43 items are the reasons why we have a lot of pressure in the parallel market. That is, everybody that falls within these 43 items are the one that made Naira grew from 300 Naira to $1 parallel market in 2015 now to 1,000 plus at the parallel market. So the argument coming from those in support, perhaps in central bank and in other headquarters, is that by the time we remove it, everybody will come to official window. Now, my position is that that argument is very defective. I understand that there are positivity in it and that there are good intention that those that promoted it have in mind. But you see, economics go beyond economic theory. What you have seen is economic theory. But when you look at the applied economics, you see that what we have done has not been properly thought out correctly. Now, I will look at in 2015 when policy was made. Between 2015 to 2023, a number of persons, because of such policy, have promoted investment. Huge investment because of the policy. What happens to their investment? Again, it became relatively difficult for those who were operating in that sector and going to parallel markets to compete with those who were local manufacturers. For instance, those things steel, for instance, those in what's it called now, tomato paste, and also those in rice production. Quite a number of them. Look at the list, including toothpick. What we are saying is that hard-earned dollars, petrodollar, should be used to support those who want to import toothpick, who want to import rice, who want to import iron steel, things that we can now produce in Nigeria into the country, simply because we want to play, we want to be the good boy of the world to the IMF, to the International Trade Organization, World Trade Organization, and so on and so forth. Now, the thing is, when we made this policy, what was the resultant effect? You saw over 80% reduction in supply side. The next work day at the what we call the FMBQ, which means we are just loading the demand side. We are saying that 43 more should join, whether it is parallel market or it is official rate, we are still loading the demand side. The solution, there are three more things I will say about this. The solution to the current quagmire or the current crisis we have in FX window has nothing to do with the 43 items. The truth is that what is actually fueling this parallel market demand, there are some of them. One, Nigerians who feel that they are losing value in their money. They have no business holding dollar, they just want to hold it. And central bank as well as other stakeholders, we must sit down as concerned Nigeria and think about way forward to boost confidence of Nigeria in holding the Naira. This is one primary thing that is responsible for over 30% of current demand in the parallel markets. And I can ask you, Mr. Alaje, if I were to give you 1 million naira and I give you an option of $1,000, to be sincere, which of these would you choose? To earn the money in naira or to earn the money in dollars? $1,000 versus 1 million naira. You don't need to answer. It's a rhetorical question. Even those in central bank today, they should carry out a survey and make them not know that it's a central bank that is doing it. What would they prefer? Have $1,000 or 1 million naira? Confidence is everything about economy. People are losing confidence speedily. That is why those of us who are economic watchers, those of us who are seriously concerned about Nigeria's economy, we must do everything possible urgently. I mean urgently, to boost confidence of Nigeria in holding Naira, which is our primary currency. Unfortunately, there is nothing we can do about it. The more we postpone it and still concentrate on demand side, there are more issues. Who are the other people? Because what is fueling 60% are the things I want to say, not the 43 items. Number two, those who want to send their children abroad and they are holding the money today, they are converting Naira to dollar, waiting for the time their children will need to pay the next school fees and so on and so forth. I won't see how Naira devalue so speedily, even at official window. Number three, those who wants to travel out, quote and unquote, what we now call Japa in Nigeria. They started saving their money up just for them to leave Nigeria. And those who want to go and pay for their medical bills, among so many other things. You can carry out a survey. We have expert security in Nigeria. They can approach where these exchanges are happening. We have them in Zone 4. We have them on Harlem. We have them in Kano. We have them in Calabar. We have them in Sokoto. People who are undercover should go and investigate without just arresting people. That's not the first thing to do. We need to understand psychology of economics. Why are people always converting Naira to the dollar? So when we know the real problem, and we are not chasing what the world is telling us is right, because we are unique in our ways, our economy is unique, then we can solve the problem. And I can tell you, all the things I mentioned connote over 60%, about 62% from SPM research, about 62% of what is fueling parallel market demand. And we need to solve this problem. Okay. How do we solve it? One is by confidence. Number two is by productivity. I wish I had more time. I would have explained some other things that has to do with the policy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alaje. And I do agree with you. We need to boost confidence in the Naira to create that demand for the Naira, reduce the demand for the dollar. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul Alaje, Chief Economist, SPM Professionals. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, after the break, FX Commodities Market Update is next. Do stay with us.